Thanks for joining me for this church security discussion that I think that we really need to have. If we look at what's going on, the war, the Israel Hamas war that's seems to be expanding minute to minute with other countries increasing their threats, those kind of things. U.S. Homeland Security has issued warnings, and I think we should talk about them. And what actions are we going to take? And I hope you'll stick with me because we're going to talk about at the end some suggestions, and then I hope you'll leave some comments as well for others as to what you think. But stick with me here as we talk about the issue and then we talk about what we can do quickly to take care of this. So, U.S. Department of Homeland Security issues U.S. violence warnings that they will no doubt increase in the coming short to medium term, as they call it. So, they issued heightened threat environment warnings that it's expected, and their exact words that escalations in the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas almost certainly will increase the threat of terrorism and targeted violence in the United States. So I want to make sure that you and I are talking about these kind of situations, what's going on, so that you're informed as being as part of our community here and my community. And then what can we do about it? What are some simple things that we can begin to do about it? So, uh, likely targets, according to the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, as you may hear them called, likely targets houses of worship, First Amendment protected demonstrations and events, and U.S. military assets. So obviously, we're worried about those houses of worship, which could be synagogues, temples, churches, other terms that they may come up with, whether it's Christians, Jews, Muslims, all kinds of groups, different terms that could come up. There is definitely an increase, according to DHS, in the possibility of likely targets and likely violence. And in fact, honestly, we're already seeing it. If you look in just the last couple of days, the president of a synagogue was stabbed to death, and the young Palestinian American boy was stabbed, and his mother as well, stabbed to death, and his mother was survived but was stabbed. And there's other protests and all kinds of increase in those types of activities that are going on. And whether I have the terms exactly right or whatever you might call your facility, we need to be paying more attention to what's going on. What are some of those action steps that we can take? Just very quickly, I just want to bring this to your attention. We can increase security, add another person, add two more people just over the coming weeks. I honestly think that's something, that's what we're doing at my church. We're adding people. And you can say to yourself, hey, we're in a small town, we're out of the way. The protests that are going on are in the big cities right now. That's where all the action, the negativity, and all of that kind of stuff, the protests are. But you've got to look at in violence in our history, our nation's history, violence occurs at small town churches. And it's not necessarily those who are identified as part of those groups, but they can be sympathizers to these groups. And then we can also have people that are just having mental health issues that just all of a sudden decide they're going to become violent. So, and just add to the chaos that's going on in the world right now. So, whether you're a small town church, a big town church, you need to be prepared, in my opinion. So, it's important. Be seen. You add the security, be seen out front, at the front doors, in the lobby, add a couple people. We try to do walk arounds and walk out front. And if there's a time, we have other duties that we'll do as security. We'll help with the offering sometimes or other things. And then we get together whenever there's two or three of us possible, and we walk around out front so that we're seen, and we're seen in our biggest numbers. And then we'll go back to our duties, and we still always have at least one or two out front. But if we get three or four people together because they're not doing other things, we'll hang out front as well and be seen. Minimize the entrances that people, can enter into your church. And this can be drastic. This can be a bit of an inconvenience for people. But in the long run, I think people appreciate that. They want to know what you're doing, and they want to see those increases. And if they know there's a big war going on overseas, and that you're changing things a little bit because of that. I think they will appreciate that. So minimize those entrances so you have fewer places that you have to watch. If you could get that down to one entrance, that would be great. Add people. I've mentioned increase the security, add another person, add an armed person if possible, hire a security officer, bring some other people in, get them some quick training. It's something you could do in a week or two. If you look down in the description down below here on YouTube, we've got training that you can do right now, that you can get online and do the training, and it puts your team together more. Or if you're adding new people, it gets them familiar with church security terms and those kind of things that you're doing. And I found even police officers appreciate that training because it starts giving them some terminology and helps them see some of the balance things where we're still got to be a welcoming environment even though we're increasing our level of security. So check out some of that training in the description down below. Watch the parking areas. We talk about be seen out front. I want to get more specific and talk about watching the parking areas, sidewalks, the streets out front. You want to be paying attention. Have what somebody might say, get a hold of the pulse of what's going on out there, understand the pulse of what's going on around your church, and keep an eye on things so that if people are starting to gather, you can begin to lock up or call 911, whatever that it looks like for you, or both, to get the law enforcement headed your direction, whatever that means. If you see something that's starting to brew, we want to be sensitive to that. And I recommend that you also watch social media, your church's social media, people in your church. If you've got some people that you're a little bit concerned about, watch their social media. I do that now. And I just kind of keep an eye on what they're doing and what they're saying. But also that has to do with your community as well. Get in touch with what's going on around in your community and pay attention to that kind of stuff. And it's really about doing as much as you can possibly do to increase. We don't want to get paranoid or crazy here, but I think things do warrant, no matter where you're a church at, we can be victimized anywhere, whether you're a synagogue, a temple, a church. I think we all need to do what we can to increase our level of security just a bit right now, because we never know where this stuff is going to occur, where the violence is going to break out, or who is not in their right mind that might decide, even in a small town, where they decide that they're going to cause violence to break out. So I just want to encourage you, take a moment, like and subscribe, connect with us, because we're trying to give you updates and what we see, what our team sees going on. So we're trying to feed you that information and give you our ideas of what we can do. Simple. We're level headed about it. We're not going to get carried away. And simple things that we can do to increase our security. And that's really, as we're saying, be seen out front, cover those front doors, add a person or two, and maybe add a little bit of training, maybe for your ushers or your greeters, add some training so that they can be a little bit more of a viable part of your security plan if they haven't been. And then take a look at this next video, because it'll be the next thing that we recommend for you in your church security journey. Thanks for joining us.